Hey everybody, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to just turn the camera on and let it roll as I'm doing my 5x7 North Shore Vacation Mini Album. What I just showed you there are some 3x3 and 4x6 little like photo pocket pages that Heidi Swap made for these memory planner, and this is the storage binder for those memory planners. And I decided to make a mini album out of it because even though it's a 5x7, it kind of turns out to be more like a 6.5x8, kind of the interior size. So I cut a whole bunch of pages from the 6x8 paper pad from Carousel. So no, it can't be 6x8.5. It must be 6x7.5. That must be the size. Yeah, that was the size that I cut it down. I cut a half an inch off of all those Carousel papers. And there were a few of the 12x12s that I cut down to that too. And then of course the 6x8 pad was one-sided, so I did have to use my Easy Runner Grand there to stick those sides together. And then I did invest in the punch, which I probably didn't really need to do, but it was only $8 or something at Michael's. So, or no, Joann. I got all this stuff at Joann. It was only $8, so I thought I'd go ahead and use it. So what I showed you there at the beginning were the pages that I had complete. I actually filmed this last weekend. I had last weekend off. So I did a lot. I worked a lot Friday night on it. I worked a lot Saturday during the day. I worked a lot Sunday afternoon. So I got a ton of it done. In fact, I basically finished tonight, and I'm doing the voiceover on this on Thursday night. I put my final little finishing touches, and I filmed my walkthrough of the completed album. So this is going to be like one of the 6x7.5 spreads. This was kind of the method that I followed. I did a couple of like little shaker pages with some 3x3 pictures, and then I would do a kind of like a mini layout. And I was loving using like the fake ticket stubs from the stub kind of rip apart sheet from Carousel, and I would adhere that to the back of those 3x3 pictures, and then I would use a paper clip to make it look like the stubs were kind of clipped on. And then even though the collection is very theme park or Carousel obviously themed, a lot of it worked for vacation. Ticket stubs, adventure, wonderful, that kind of stuff. It all worked really, really well for the mini album. And then quickly I want to go through and tell you what thickers I used before I forget. Up on top, the one of my husband and my daughter doing the silly selfies that I just touched right there, those are beautiful wood grain and gold thickers from the new Chamel collection called Marquee. It's from the Glitter Girl collection, but those thickers are called Marquee. Each day has a 4x6 shaker pocket with a different sequin mix in it and two different kinds of thickers. I bought also from the Chamel collection, the Sparkle Phrase thickers. Those are like glittery teal. And then I also am using, the ones that I've got in front of me now are those little puffy mint and gold. Like the foam part is mint, but the top part is gold. Those are called Happy from the Carousel collection. And then the bigger one that says Falls, those are chipboard. They don't stick to anything at all. You will be warned. That's why I decided to use my sewing machine like crazy on this project, because I wasn't going to be putting these in page protectors, so I knew I had to get those thickers to stick somehow. So I decided to just use my sewing machine. Broke a lot of thread, almost broke a needle, but it was totally worth it in the end. So anyhow, those ones also from the Maggie Holmes Carousel collection that says Falls right there, those are chipboard. Those are called Swing. Also, like I said, from the Carousel collection. So just to get those little nuts and bolts of the process video done, telling you exactly what I use. And then I am going to forget the names in this video of all the different sequin mixes that I bought from Lucy's Cards, but I just filmed the video walkthrough, and I will hold up the bag of the individual sequin mix as you see it on screen, so you can see exactly what sequin mix I used. And now I did use up a ton of enamel dots for my collection. A lot of Echo Park, some from Hobby Lobby. I was really proud of myself. And I did use my Pebbles roller date stamper on almost every page to stamp the date. It has been behaving a little bit better. I was having terrible trouble with the second number of the day date not stamping correctly, but I think I figured it out. It was a little bit of trial and error. I had to kind of roll the second day of the date down a little bit further. So here I'm going to do the back of this guy, kind of figure out what pictures I want on this one and then what pictures I want. Right in front of me there, I've got a 3x6 page protector that is 2 3x3s. I do, when I make mini albums, adhere my pictures back to back when they go into my pockets, just so they don't wiggle around too much. And then I'm probably digging for what sequin mix I want to use, because that was another method that I kind of followed, was the top part of one would have a sequin mix and the bottom part of the other one wouldn't. It would just have a picture. And then I do have my We Are Memory Keepers typewriter next to me, and I am typing out some journaling. I didn't do a ton of journaling, but where it was kind of necessary to figure out what was going on there, we were at Gooseberry Falls up in northern Minnesota on the North Shore, obviously. And it says something like dipping our toes in the cold water. It was pretty chilly water. I think that sequin mix is called Blush. All these sequin mixes are from Lucy's Cards. I will put a link to her store in the description box just so you guys can see. The British pound is pretty low right now. I think last time I checked it was like 1.24 pounds to $1. So that's not too bad. A pound is worth more than $1, but it's not terrible. I think most of her sequin mixes are like £1.75 or £3.25, something like that. And I think when you do the math, they turn out to be less than $4. And I think that's a really, really good deal, considering Simon Says Stamp charges like, I don't know, $5 or $6 for one of them. And then if you buy a whole ton of them at once, which I try to buy, I know this sounds horrible, but I try to buy like 12 or 15 mixes at a time, like 3 times a year, and she only charges you like £3.60 for shipping, which turns out to be like $5.15 or something. It's insane. It's just so cheap. So it's totally worth it. They're my favorite sequin mixes in the whole entire world, and I love them. So anyhow, back to the layout. That is a beautiful Cambridge lace doily. One of my very last ones. I bought a bunch of them actually from Pretty Little Studio like a year ago, and I was totally hoarding them. I wasn't going to use them on anything, but I thought, you know, this is the project to just get them used up. I only really do 2 major scrapbooking projects a year. One is December Daily. The other is however I decide to document our annual summer vacation. Last year I ended up doing 2 really, really fat traveler's notebooks, which I loved, but they were very time consuming and very expensive. This turned out to be actually kind of a cheap project. I already had all the carousel stuff. I didn't really buy any extra carousel stuff to document it. I just used what I had. I already had the binder, which is the 5x7 binder. I bought that like not less than a year ago because I contemplated doing my December daily in it. So I've had that at least 8 months probably. And then the only thing I had to buy were 3 packs, maybe even 2 packs. I think I just bought 2 packs of $5 page protectors from scrapbook.com. So this actually was a really good adventure in just using up my stash. It was actually really good for me to buy some new stuff, get right into it, have fun with it while it's new and you're excited about it, and do a really big fun project. This was really, really, really fun. I think that's probably why I whipped through it so fast. I've had a couple people comment, wow, you're done with it already? It sat down, and I don't know if it was the size or the format or that I decided on what I was going to do kind of before I even sat down to do it, that it flowed so quick. I think the only 2 problems I ran across were Sunday around dinner time. I ran out of Easy Runner Grand Filler, which we all know you get at Hobby Lobby, and Hobby Lobby isn't open Sunday. And then I also ran out of gold thread, but I dug in my stash and I found some, like, not actual fabric gold thread. It's embroidery gold, like plasticky thread, but it worked. It actually is held up better than the normal gold thread, so I was really happy. So now we are moving on to, this looks like Split Rock Lighthouse. Yes, it is. So I've got a couple pieces of the 6x8 that I cut down to 6x7.5, glued together, 4-hole punched, and I'm trying to decide what I want to do to kind of break up the pattern there, because to me, those blue pictures don't look very good against that kind of pink. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Usually I've been using either a doily in white or in gold, or I use some vellum, and in this case I decided to go with some more vellum to kind of mute the colors in the background and give myself kind of a place to work on. So I decide what pictures I want on there. That's going to be a picture of my husband and my two girls. We're sitting by the water. The water is 39 degrees, by the way. That is the warmest it gets. Absolutely frigid lake. Would not want to go swimming in there, especially up that far up north. Your body would, I think, just freeze up immediately. And then that other picture is a picture of what's called Bob stairs. I think some guy named Bob built them. It's like 173 stairs or something insane that you can climb down to the bottom from the lighthouse to go down by the water. So once again, just using some of the themed layers, the layers that have, carousels and horses and giraffes or whatever on them, as filler and layering pieces behind my pictures, using paper clips to clip stuff on, to add interest, to make it look like it really, this was something that kind of could be a traveler's notebook. However, it's not in traveler's notebook form. Like I'm taking notes on our adventures. So once again, going to use those gorgeous, let me grab my notes. Those are the Swing chipboard thickers from the Maggie Holmes collection. Love them, but like I said, they're not going to stick to really anything for me. I don't know if I got a bad batch or if it's just the nature of chipboard thickers. Every once in a while I'll get a pack that's really nice and sticky, but this pack definitely, I was actually having a hard time keeping it down while I was sewing. I had to very carefully, so my fingers didn't get squished by the hammer, hold the thickers down as I was sewing them on. So this is actually about an hour, probably just short of an hour of actual working time that I condensed down to about 12 minutes. And this was about how long it took me to do about, 5 or 6 pages. And I'm kind of okay with how long it took me. My kids were in the room with me. We were watching TV. It was kind of a crappy, icky, rainy weekend. So what else do you want to do other than sit and watch TV and movies with your kids and scrapbook? Sounds like a fabulous weekend to me. So at the end here, I'm going to have 6 stills of kind of the main layouts and things that I did during this video. This was the only process video I filmed for this just because my cheap memory card only holds about an hour. I really need, maybe Santa's listening and Santa will put a really big memory card in my stocking. So we'll see. But anyhow, like I said, in a couple days after I get the final flip through edited and uploaded, you can see my whole entire North Shore Vacation mini album that I used in this really super fantastic Heidi Swap 5x7 memory planner binder that I'm so excited about. So anyhow, here are the close-ups like I promised, and look for more on Instagram from me. I am at Scrappy Sarah on Instagram, and in a couple of days, like I said, I should have the whole flip through done and ready to go. So thank you, ladies. I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.